Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Crispy Compact Communiqué, the 2021 crapshoot that in a year where just nothing makes sense, just everything, every week is a whole new dilemma. We are still here to give you the latest tidbits in sports, entertainment, and odd news. I guess
That's right. We're a grounding force.
Yeah, I guess status update right off the bat. My laptop still isn't fixed. It's still snowing in Philadelphia, and Tom Brady won the Super Bowl again. So 2021 makes no sense to me. Everything is just out the window. You could tell me the sky is turning red, and I'd believe you at this point. So, Mike, how you doing over there?
I'm doing good. Those things didn't sound all that shocking to me, but we'll get into some of those. But what is shocking is along the lines of the 2021 not making sense is I just started playing Death Stranding on PlayStation 4, and that fits right in the theme of weird insanity. Nothing makes sense. I mean, I when I say literally started playing, I mean like before recording, I played like the first hour of this game, which is about 80% cinematics. There's like no actual gameplay. I'm like, what is happening? I'm like watching a movie.
Yeah, the beginning and the end of Death Stranding is like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting. So far, I fell off a cliff and I died, and there was a little nail baby inside me, and I came back to life. Rain made things age. There were invisible things that walked on hands or left handprints on the ground, it seemed like. Norman Reedus got naked twice in the first hour. Norman Reedus also has a baby. And running downhill is really funny because you like gain a lot of momentum and you can't stop yourself, and you just like slam into walls and stones and you drop all your stuff. It was calamitous.
Fun fact, that's how I go down slopes as well. Rachel even has video of that. I don't know.
What, you stumbling around like Norman Reedus in Death Stranding?
Me and Rachel went down a hill or something, and she has footage where I cannot walk properly down a hill. It is the weirdest thing, and I never realized I did it until she recorded it. She's got the proof.
When the pandemic is over, I just want to go to a hill with you and watch you walk down a hill.
Yeah, apparently I don't. I do the exact same thing in Death Stranding.
That is so funny. Oh my God. Hey, us bigger guys, it's hard to walk down hills.
Yeah.
Normally,
Yeah, I don't want to turn into like a barrel going out of control.
Yeah. It's weird. I know exactly what you're talking about. I feel like I do the same thing probably.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely guilty of doing it in Death Stranding. The game is wild so far. I can't wait to see more about it. I mean, I literally just started, but it's already a wild ride. So I'm really eager to see what else it has in store for me. So
Mike, text me every step of the way. I want to know every single thought that happens when all the wacky story plot moments happen.
Okay, it's so weird so far, but I will definitely keep you abreast of all the different happenings in Death Stranding. So that's what I was literally just up to. Rich, what have you been up to recently?
Let's see, what was I doing? I guess Super Bowl. That was like a thing. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Welcome to 2021. It's just everything just doesn't make sense anymore. And let's just jump right into sports because I can't believe that this happened. Tom Brady. Everyone said eventually Father Time has to catch up to players, but Tom Brady is defying everything and has led the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to winning the 2020 Super Bowl, Tampa Bay's second franchise Super Bowl, Tom Brady's seventh damn Super Bowl ring over the Kansas City Chiefs in essentially a rout, 31-9.
Yeah, it was really bad. But you say it doesn't make sense. This is the first moment of normalcy in 2020 and 2021. Seeing Tom Brady win a Super Bowl, that's completely expected. I mean, they pulled up all the stats over the weekend. 10 out of the last 20 Super Bowls he's been a part of. Now 7 Super Bowl wins, 2 more than any quarterback. He's appeared in more Super Bowls than any quarterback, 1 more Super Bowls than any quarterback. He really is the greatest quarterback of all time. And I know, as much as it pains you to hear it, this is football's version of Michael Jordan. And we're going to go down 30, 40 years from now and be like, telling the young kids, who cares about young, Bob Boppity? Tom Brady was the real best football player. He was the best footballer of all time. That's going to be us as old people.
I want to meet Bob Boppity.
Bob Boppity, man. I tell you, he's a young up and comer. Yeah, he is.
Stud.
He's the next franchise. Yeah, 5-star.
5-star recruit, Bob Boppity.
6-star recruit.
Put that in your Madden game next year. Bob Boppity.
Yeah.
There you go. He's going to set the league on fire.
But yeah, I mean, the game was pathetic. I mean, yes. Everything about Tom Brady aside, the game was, Kansas City looked Eagles level bad at times.
Yes. So I just wanted to note down a couple of points from this game that I texted my cousins.
Okay.
Because I think this is pretty much my complete analysis. First off, Patrick Mahomes, not to blame for this. He put in a very admirable effort in this game. And now we're learning his turf toe was so bad that he needed surgery the day after the Super Bowl to correct it. So I think, first off, it's very admirable. Patrick Mahomes still played at the level that he did, dealing with turf toe to a degree that was that bad that it required surgery the following day.
Yeah.
He was running around. Did you see this stat, Mike? He apparently, with next gen stats on ESPN, they can calculate how many yards he scrambled for before he threw a pass.
Right.
They were able to calculate on the 37 times that he dropped back and was pressured in that game, which, by the way, that's a lot of times to be pressured.
That's like actually chilling.
Yes. He ran 497 yards before throwing his passes. So that means he's running the length of 5 football fields before he can even think about getting the ball out of there.
And he's not a running back or a wide receiver.
Not a running back. So
he's supposed to take a 3 to 7 step drop and then throw the football.
Yeah.
Not a 400 step drop and then throw the football.
497.
Yeah, 497. He was under constant. You said it 37 times. I didn't look at the actual pressure statistics, but it seemed like every time he dropped back to pass, he was scrambling for his life. And it begs the question, if that's the case, why drop back 50 times?
Yeah.
Andy Reid was in peak form for the Kansas City Chiefs. It's funny because one of my coworkers is a Chiefs fan, and we were chatting over Teams about, as an Eagles fan, I'm always rooting for Big Red Andy Reid, and I got to tell you, watching this game, I was like, oh my God, I'm having like Nam style flashbacks, bad time management, over reliance on the pass, completely abandoning the run game, even though it's working. It's just, and then not adjusting at halftime. It's like the same old story.
Yeah.
No matter how good Andy Reid gets, he's still going to have those 3 shortcomings: the inability to manage the clock, the over-reliance on the pass, and not adjusting at halftime.
Yeah, this was Philadelphia Andy Reid that showed up to Super Bowl 55, not Kansas City Andy Reid.
Yeah.
A couple of other things that I got to mention off top of the head. Reid's decisions backfired. The Kansas City receivers, they let Mahomes down in this one.
They just disappeared.
Tyreek Hill, I know he was being doubled and triple covered, but you have Macaulay Hardman, Sammy Watkins. Where were they? Just didn't show up in this game. And then the kicker was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. And this is where I gotta say something here. Todd Bowles should be a head coach in this league. This is unfair. Todd Bowles got stuck with a crappy situation with the New York Jets, and the Jets canned him to bring in Adam Gase, which went from, a dumpster fire to a grease fire. Just what are they thinking? But because of that, I think Todd Bowles is going to have a harder time to get a second head coaching gig because they're going to point to his head coaching record in New York instead of this fantastic performance that he has done with the Tampa Bay defensive squad. They held they held Drew Brees, they held Aaron Rodgers, and now Patrick Mahomes in the most critical of critical circumstances in each playoff game. Todd Bowles should be a head coach. Screw Nick Sirianni, screw all these other coaches that got hired this year. Todd Bowles deserves a head coaching job. And that's something else too. There should be a limit that you can't hire coaches until everything. You can't do coaches. You can't do any of that stuff until the Super Bowl is over, because a performance like we saw from Todd Bowles deserves a head coaching gig. It's unfair that he's only a defensive coordinator.
You're saying that because you want him to be the Eagles head coach.
You know what? Right now, I would be more confident with Todd Bowles after that performance, shutting down Patrick Mahomes like that. I would be more confident with him than Nick Sirianni, who gave a horrible press conference and we don't know what the hell he's saying.
Yeah. I think Todd Bowles will get his chance. And not many coordinators have a performance like that and don't get another look as a head coach. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. But yeah, I mean, props to him. You're absolutely right. I mean, he was the MVP of the game. I mean, Tom Brady, yeah, sure, okay, he was the Super Bowl winning quarterback, but Todd Bowles, I mean, not many people can say that they, shut down Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And yes, spotty offensive line, wide receivers didn't show up. They were one-dimensional, but also a good defensive coordinator, a good coach, a good game plan is going to take advantage of these things, right? So he took advantage of the battered offensive line and went after Mahomes, knowing that he was going to scramble and make things even worse. And all he had to do was put that little bit of pressure on Tyreek Hill. That's that safety valve. All Mahomes had was Travis Kelce. He took Tyreek Hill completely out of the game, was non-existent. And then once they got that lead and made Kansas City one-dimensional, it was a cakewalk. I mean, you look at the box score. I mean, the Bucks piled on the points in the second and third quarter, and after that, it was game over. It was lights out.
Yep. Another reaction that I would like to propose after this game is the fact that every player that scored points for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was not on this team 11 months ago.
Yeah.
I think this should ring the alarm bell to everybody that the window or rather the length of your leash for your teams have now gotten drastically short. All right. Tampa Bay literally went from 8-8 to Super Bowl champions with the aggressiveness of going into free agency, getting Tom Brady, getting Gronk, getting Antonio Brown. This league now is based on those big moves that you have to be willing to grab those players and just throw them in your system. And
well, I will preach a little bit of caution here because it worked in this instance, but we've seen it backfire in other instances. Do I need to mention the Dream Team again? Do we need to go back to New England when they brought in Randy Moss and thought Randy Moss will get Tom Brady his ring in New England that one time? It doesn't always work that way.
But that was then. I'm telling you, this is now. This should be the panic button. Players, coaches, general managers. Guess what? The leash has now shrunk dramatically. All right. Tom Brady pulling this off at age 43 without a preseason, with COVID wrecking the league, having to learn a whole new offense with brand new teammates, guess what? He just showed you all that it doesn't matter. It should not matter because he pulled it off.
I think it's dangerous to say that, though, because Tom Brady is the exception to the rule. I don't think you can do that with other quarterbacks, because we've seen teams try to do that. They bring in one or two key pieces. These are the pieces to the puzzle, and it just fizzles out. I really do believe that the X factor here was Tom Brady. If you brought in Brown and Fournette and Gronkowski and not Brady, it's completely different. You know, we've seen it happen with our very own Philadelphia Eagles. We brought in all the talent in the world and surrounded Sam Bradford. Yes. And what did we do? We did nothing.
But that was 6 or 7 years ago. The NFL is moving at such a rapid pace that is now ancient. I'm telling you.
No, I disagree. I think the X factor is Tom Brady. That theory does not. I mean, I agree in principle that yes, the window is much shorter, because we saw with the Eagles went 7-9 to Super Bowl in 1 year. So it can happen at the flip of a coin, but it really is. I think it's a lot more luck and having that something special, that X factor. In this case, Tom Brady. I don't think this is applicable to every team in every situation.
Well, let me tie this into our next topic, because when you see a team like Tampa Bay win after making all these moves, all these splashy big moves, going aggressive, going all in, this is it. We got to do it. This is why the trade mill is rampant and on fire. And now it's appropriate to talk about the big news in Philadelphia. Carson Wentz is apparently on the trade block. And I bet you there are some teams that are looking the Eagles' way and seeing if maybe they can't do a little dream team magic of their own. The leading contenders seem to be the Colts and the Bears, but there have been rumors that teams such as the Panthers, the Patriots, 49ers, Texans, Jets, Seahawks, you know what? How about just
basically everyone?
Every team,
basically everybody.
QB. Yeah, they're all at least sniffing around. Mike, just what do you think of this whole Wentz fiasco?
I mean, the writing was on the wall. I mean, I've been talking for weeks about how, I wouldn't be surprised if Wentz got moved. And, you've told me, and other people have told me Wentz is going to be on the team in 2021. Wentz is going to be on the team in 2021. I've gone back and forth, but I had this feeling in my gut that the writing was on the wall. Wentz does not want to be here, period. Hard stop, full stop. This is going to be a cancerous situation if the Eagles bring him into 2021 as starting quarterback or open competition in training camp. It's going to get bad. It's going to get ugly. So the Eagles want to move Wentz. On the flip side, teams want Wentz. They believe that they can fix him. They believe that 2017 and 2018, 2019 quarterback is still in there somewhere. In 2017, he was, top 3 at the position. 2018, 2019 fell off a little bit. He had good, not great performances, hindered by injuries and by lack of supporting cast. 2020, I think a lot of GMs are thinking it might be, an aberration. It was something out of the ordinary. And you see some of these teams making changes seemingly to appease a potential Wentz addition. Indy has Frank Reich, just promoted Carson Wentz's old buddy, Press Taylor, to one of the offensive coaching positions. Chicago, I believe, they have John DeFilippo. They brought in someone else that has ties to Wentz. So these teams are moving things around seemingly to make things more amenable to Wentz, who, for all intents and purposes now, it looks like all the smoke was coming from a raging fire. He seems like a really big diva of a quarterback. Come on, let's call it what it is. I mean, we've been big Wentz supporters and defenders on this podcast. It's getting harder and harder by the day. Every day that there's silence from Wentz's camp about what's going on, not even publicly welcoming the new head coach, all it takes is 3 seconds to bang out a tweet. Oh, so excited to work with you, Coach Sirianni. Nothing. Hasn't talked to the front office. He's just burning bridges left and right. He needs to be moved. The question is who and what's the price? Do you think the reports are accurate? Well, I know you know the reports are accurate, that the Eagles are looking for Stafford-like compensation. Do you think they get Stafford-like compensation?
I'm glad you phrased it like that, because I'm sure the Eagles want Stafford-like compensation.
They do.
But will they get it? I don't think so. I mean, and we're kind of seeing it right now. We're recording the podcast late Tuesday night, and the mill seems to have gotten a little bit drier with the Carson Wentz rumors, which kind of indicates to me that any party that is involved are just pressing the brakes and letting the Eagles sweat, because there is no way that the Eagles are going to get as much as they're asking for. But at the same time, maybe, I really could see this with the Colts, because the Colts have the ingredients to be the next Buccaneers. They've got a solid defense, solid running game. They just need a quarterback to lead that team into the postseason. That sounds like the best option to me. And if the Colts know that the other teams aren't going to be as serious as they are, then of course just sit and wait until the Eagles sweat and they have to agree to a lower trade before the league year, March 3rd, when
March 3rd,
a $20 million roster bonus. It's perfect.
Yeah. From what I'm reading, teams have been very disciplined in dealing with the Eagles, and nobody is overreaching for Carson Wentz. It's actually quite remarkable that teams are not giving in to Howie's demands. They're trying to out Howie. I'm also reading that the Bears are getting impatient. They're not liking where the talks are going. So we don't know how serious the Bears are in all this. What I think is throwing a wrench into the works, and we have to touch on this, one of the teams that popped up very recently, just as of today, the Houston Texans are making calls about Carson Wentz. I joked a few weeks ago. I'm going to joke again right here, but not really this time. Watson for Wentz, straight up. Who says no? Rich, are the Texans just dumb enough to make a trade like that?
No, they're not going to do it.
What if I said this a few weeks ago, Wentz plus Ertz, the two buddies, and a pick for Watson?
No, because you know what? The Texans are still going to demand a first-round pick. I think that's too much to give up from the Eagles. I don't see how he's pulling the trigger. A
starting caliber quarterback, a former Pro Bowl, top 3 tight end, and a pick for Watson. You don't think that works?
I don't think Howie will pull the trigger on that. Maybe if he gets desperate. Maybe if the Colts break down and that offer comes, maybe. But I don't see him doing that outright. Also, Houston has gotten a little bit smarter now that they got rid of Bill O'Brien. You should have done the Wentz trade last year. You would have cleaned up. But no, I don't see that one happening. Maybe it could, but I don't see it happening.
If anything, the past year has taught us never say never. I mean, we didn't think that Goff or Stafford could be moved, and they swapped teams. Brady would never play for another team besides New England. Goes to Tampa Bay, immediately wins the Super Bowl. Anything is on the table. The past few years, I mean, remember, and this is, it all started, I think, with Khalil Mack. Remember, we were like, oh my God, it's insane for a team to give up multiple first-round picks just to get one guy. The Bears almost made it deep into the playoffs that year. Same thing with Jalen Ramsey.
Win now. I'm telling you.
Win now.
It goes back. I'm telling you, it goes back to this mentality of you have to go all in, and Brady winning the Super Bowl this year is going to add fuel to the fire.
As misguided as teams might be, we just need our Brady. The problem is there's only one Brady. So I don't think that strategy works for everyone, but they're going to try to replicate it.
I will agree with you there. How about that? How about there's the compromise?
That's the compromise. That's what GMs will try to do, and it's not going to work.
Correct. I will agree. Yeah, there we go. We have hit consensus. There you go.
Perfect. We're like politicians.
Yeah. One more thing we got to talk about, and this is something that broke today, is the fact that another name that I never thought would go, especially after he signed a huge contract extension with the Seattle Seahawks, but allegedly Russell Wilson is now coming out saying that he has a difference of football philosophies with Pete Carroll this past year. Players
the team's been deteriorating a little bit.
Yep, and players are reading into this saying that this means that Russell Wilson wants out. Do you think that's what this means? Do you think Russell Wilson is actually
Wilson for Wentz? Straight up, who says no? Look, I'm gonna get one of these guys, Rich. I'm gonna be right one of these times. All right. Just
go through the list of quarterbacks. Let's see.
Rodgers for Wentz, straight up. Who says no? Wilson for Wentz, straight up. You know, like I said, anything is possible. Maybe how about the same deal? Wentz and Ertz plus a pick for Wilson. Is Wilson, more or less valuable than Watson? I think Wilson's a little bit older. Spent the game a little bit longer. Maybe we could swing that deal with Seattle.
Yeah, that would be weird too. That would be like Seattle becomes Philly West.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But I just think I think that goes to show you the ridiculousness that this 2021 offseason is going to be.
Yeah.
The fact that even Russell Wilson is now rumored to be involved in some trade bait and trading options. Everybody is on the table.
In previous seasons, a quarterback hits free agency and goes to a new team. Like Rivers went to the Colts and Brady went to the Bucks. Oh my God, it was shocking news. We've already had 2 big name quarterbacks switch teams already. Yeah. And I mean, it's just getting started. So this year is going to be exceptional. I mean, I don't think, at least in our lifetime, we haven't seen that many quarterbacks switch team, at least not that I can remember. That many quarterbacks switching teams.
Yeah,
usually quarterback is a position that is not fluid like that. Like you
usually don't want this much change at the quarterback position.
Yeah, you find your guy and like, all right, we're going to be in it for 7 to 10 years, and now all of a sudden it's like, look at Arizona. They went through 3 first-round picks in a matter of a couple of years. Then we got Stafford and Goff switching places. Watson, Wentz, and Wilson. All the W's went out of their teams.
Welcome to 2021. Nothing makes sense.
Yeah. So it'll be a very interesting offseason. I don't think we'll be short for football news in the coming months.
Yeah, that's actually good news for you, Mike. That means we'll have year-round football news at this damn rate.
That's what the NFL's going for.
They are. I told you this last week. In the NFL internal marketing meetings, they are banning the word off season.
Yep.
They want to be viewed as a year-long league, and that you have a playing season and a non-playing season.
Yep.
That's it. No quote off season. There is no off switch.
Look, the plays and the strategy don't stop when the game on the field stops, because now it's just a different type of playing and strategy. It's GMs and coaches playing, back and forth, trying to make these deals. And it's just as entertaining to follow it for those of us that enjoy football, like the 2 of us.
Yeah.
So we're going to have plenty to talk about.
All right. Well, hopefully I can still squeeze in golf when, that stuff happens.
We'll allow it.
The one good thing about the Super Bowl being on CBS is I get to see the Masters commercials, and it makes me feel good. That was actually the highlight of my night. The Masters.
Oh, God.
The Masters.
You and the Masters.
The Masters.
Name a more classic combo.
The Masters on CBS. So relaxing.
Well, we'll get to golf eventually at some point in the season too.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on from the sports world. Let's go to entertainment. Mike, there's a couple of weird topics that we're going to hit off the bat first. What did you want to start off with?
Yeah, just real quick, a couple of quick headlines that just popped up because it's just weird stuff that you see and you like sort of scratch your head at. So with the news of Mass Effect Legendary Edition coming out in May, there's been a lot of talk with BioWare and the developers about the previous Mass Effect games. And one of the Mass Effect games that everybody likes to ignore and forget about is Andromeda for many different reasons. But one of the interesting headlines that popped up during these conversations with developers is this headline that I thought was really interesting and sort of encapsulated for me what was wrong with Andromeda. So apparently, Mass Effect Andromeda had up to 10 new alien species that you could encounter in the Andromeda galaxy. Similar to the original trilogy, how they introduced all those, the classic Asari, Krogan, Turian, Quarians. We would have had 10 new species to interact with. And instead, they were cut down to just, I think it was like 2 or 3. And only one of them you could really interact with. And the reason for this is, you have the classic, budget issues and, it was too big in scope and too ambitious. But one of the other reasons that they gave, and this is the part that sticks out to me and which really ticks me off, is that they decided some of them were not easy for fans to cosplay as.
Yeah. Oh, we wanted them to dress up.
And I'm calling bull on this immediately because the original Mass Effect trilogy had a jellyfish alien and the Krogan, which were like these giant, rocky lizard things, and tons of other aliens that would have been difficult for fans to cosplay as. So I'm calling bull. I think that it was mostly not even too ambitious because it was always a very ambitious game. I think it was misplaced ambition, and it was EA coming in and saying, focus more on,
focus more on the sex scenes.
Focus more on the sex scenes and the sellability of it all, the marketability of it. And it's just really disappointing to read a headline like this. It just, to me, it reads as a BS excuse.
Yeah, this is. There's no way around it. The story of Mass Effect Andromeda is how much things got gutted and how much things were done on the cheap. So it's no surprise that they had an idea for more alien races and they cut them. But I doubt that it was because of this reasoning too difficult for fans to cosplay. Get the hell out of here. That's not your main reason. You just were running out of resources, whether it be employees, time, or money. That's it. Just admit it and be honest with the gamers. Don't do this BS, too difficult for fans to cosplay. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, it reads, look, I understand cosplay is a big part of the Mass Effect fandom, but the other thing about cosplay that you have to understand is that people are going to cosplay as whatever the hell they want to. You could have made these as complex as you wanted to, and fans would have found a way to cosplay. I think fans would have been more excited to cosplay something, completely different than the same old species they had from the original trilogy. So I agree. It's a lazy BS excuse.
Yeah.
So point is, I'm really excited to go back to the original trilogy when the Legendary Edition comes out, because Andromeda is just that little dark spot on the Mass Effect franchise. It's a shame because it could have been great.
Yeah, that's the worst part. Is it had potential.
Yeah,
there were breadcrumbs there that they could have really developed on. They could have made this, its own trilogy.
Yeah,
and they just dropped the ball. And
they did.
It's horrible to see wasted talent like that.
Yeah. So here's hoping for a brighter Mass Effect future with the Legendary Edition and whatever the next gen game in the Mass Effect franchise will be. But speaking of bright futures, there's an incredibly bright future for Hollywood, because I'm telling you, man, this movie that I can't wait to talk about, this is going to take Hollywood and propel it out of the depths of the pandemic to newer heights and successes that they've never seen before, with this announcement here that there is an action heist movie being developed based on the card game Uno with rapper Lil Yachty at the helm. That's not a fake headline. Rapper Lil Yachty is developing an action heist movie based on Uno.
Oh, wait, I remember Little Yachty. It totally just hit me. He's the one that sings it's cold like Minnesota. Cold like
Oh my God, you're right. It's cold like Minnesota.
That's that guy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, where's Bruno when we need him?
Yeah, I know. This is the perfect opportunity for JB to come in here and tell us all about Lil Yachty.
Yeah. Cold like Minnesota. Cold like Minnesota.
Do you think this film will be received as cold as Minnesota?
I don't even know what the hell that means. So I don't know what
I assume Minnesota's cold.
Yes.
So
I still don't know what the scale means. I don't know. On a scale of cold to Minnesota?
No. I said, do you think it will be received as cold as Minnesota is?
Okay. It's 2021. Everything I've predicted so far has gone against me. So I'm going to say that this is going to be a flop and this is a stupid idea for a movie. But you know what? That means that this movie is going to be amazing and it's going to win the Oscar for best drama at my rate. So
I mean, it will. I think it's going to do amazing at the box office. And I think it's going to herald in a new generation of film. So
I've been wrong about a lot of things this past couple of weeks.
Rich, they've already written the screenplay. I want to give you just a few brief details here. The story is set to take place in an underground hip hop destination, Atlanta. And here's what Lil Yachty has to say about it. Quote, "I'm so excited to be part of this film with Mattel. I played Uno as a kid and still do today. So to spin that into a movie based on the Atlanta hip hop scene I came out of is really special. It hits close to home for me." End quote. So
wait, is Uno like what?
I don't know.
It's owned by the hip hop community?
No. It's so he's saying that it's based on the Atlanta hip hop scene, this movie, partially. So I don't there's no easy way to explain this movie. So it's an action heist comedy based on the card game Uno, and it's set in an underground hip hop, the underground hip hop scene in Atlanta.
Hip hop Atlanta underground community, and they're not playing craps, they're playing Uno.
They're playing Uno, yeah.
Yeah, no, why aren't you playing craps? That sounds more believable, I would say. But
sure.
Again, you know what? I've been wrong about everything in 2021. So you know what? This movie's going to win best drama. It's going to sweep the Oscars, in 2022. Here you go. Place your bets. I'm telling you, I'm wrong about everything because I don't see how this movie's going to do well.
I cannot wait to watch this movie.
Reverse.
Yeah, I want to know how it's based on Uno.
Is it like an Uno championship?
Like there's an Uno championship in like the underground hip hop scene. Like a whole bunch of underground hip hop rappers are trying to pull off like a heist at like an Uno competition. Are Uno competitions a thing? Like how does Uno?
Probably. I mean, there's competitions for board games. Remember we had the odd news story about the Monopoly championship.
Yep. That's true. So, we did.
I'm sure if there's an actual copyrighted game, there's probably a tournament for it. So yeah, it could be the Uno championship.
Look, the best board game to movie adaptation will always be Clue. So
yeah, Clue's fantastic. Yep.
I don't. Are there? Oh my God! Well, I can't talk. Are there other board game to movie adaptations? Jumanji, we found out before the show, but that started as a book, then became either a movie or a board game, and then vice versa. But I'm trying to think. Are there any other
Battleship?
Battleship. That's right, Battleship. Oh man, what is wrong with our world?
Yeah.
I want to see a movie based on Go Fish.
Okay. There you go. I mean, so maybe a somewhat related, just a random side note. If this interests you, by the way, everybody at home or Mike, just anybody, if you're interested in board games but like brought to life or something, there's a wonderful YouTube series called Board James, where the angry video game nerd, he's a different character, and he has like these like kind of skits where he plays the game, but like the game kind of plays back. There's a couple of good episodes in there. One of them is I forget what it is off the top of my one of them is the Nightmare, the VHS game that you had to plug in and you had the creepy guy going, the number, you will go to the
No.
black. Oh,
Nobody knows this game. I know of it because of watching YouTube videos about it, but nobody knows that game, Rich.
yeah. But there's other games in there like Mousetrap and stuff like that.
Oh, Mousetrap, yeah.
Yeah, so it's an interesting little series. He only did it for like 2 or 3 years. So there's I think like 25 episodes or something, but they're all YouTube video. They're like 8, 9, 10 minutes. And it's cool. So if you want to see like that, I can understand that, but a full blown movie, I don't see this working as for Uno. I don't see this working.
Okay. Well, we'll have to wait for the movie to come out to find out for certain just how amazing it is. I'm giving it a preemptive 9 out of 10.
Okay, well, speaking of reviews, this is another topic we got to get to. The Golden Globes nominations were announced this past week. There is a lot of stuff to talk about with this because they do movies and television, but we're going to try and keep it focused to a couple of things that we do want to talk about. Mike, who earned the most nominations?
So in terms of distributors, Netflix earned the most nominations with 42. But if you're talking specifically the individual films and shows, in film, I've never heard of this one, Mank, with 6 nominations in film, and that's the top one. And then in television, The Crown with the most nominations, which I absolutely have heard of The Crown, still in my queue on Netflix, never to be watched. As usual, I wait at least 4 to 5 years after something comes out to finally jump on the bandwagon. But there's some other really notable movies and television shows that got nominations. I have to say, I don't know any of the dramas for Best Motion Picture. And it's very upsetting because normally I'm like really up to speed on these things, but it was a weird year for entertainment. The one that I can call out there is The Trial of Chicago 7, Netflix movie. Got lots of great critical praise. It, again, in my queue. Have I watched it? No, but maybe at some point before the Golden Globes, I'll give it a watch so I can see exactly what it is. On the flip side, though, musical and comedy Best Motion Picture, we do know a few of these. Rich, I believe you've watched a couple. The 2 that I know that spring out to me are obviously Borat, subsequent movie film, and Hamilton, which I am really excited to see Hamilton get a nod there for Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. You mentioned that you watched a couple of them as well, like Palm Springs, which apparently is getting some buzz, but you're kind of torn on it.
Yeah, I watched Palm Springs when it first came out on Hulu, and I thought it was, a good movie to see once. But unfortunately, it's not anything that you haven't seen before. It's Palm Springs is basically The Lonely Island meets Groundhog Day.
Okay.
So
it sounds good on the surface, but I guess you're saying that it's kind of samey.
And I mean, it is fine to watch. Don't get me wrong. I'm not dissing you if you like Palm Springs, but it's not like the most revolutionary movie ever. And I'm kind of surprised it got a nod from the Golden Globes on this. And hey, that's good on that's good on the guys from The Lonely Island and everything. But it kind of threw me for a loop. It kind of surprised me that it got a random nomination here. I would rather Hamilton or Borat 2 win this. I have a soft spot for Borat too.
I know you have a soft spot for Borat too. And to be fair to Borat, I mean, I didn't think that it was going to do that well, being a sequel to a comedy. And then Borat, of all comedies, I mean, how hard is it to pull off that again after everybody knows the gimmick? But my personal favorite, I'm sure will shock everyone listening and who knows me personally, is Hamilton. That was sarcasm. I love Hamilton, as everybody knows. I won't stop talking about it. And I really do believe that it not only deserves to win, but I'm fairly confident that it will win, because it really took pop culture by storm. And it was like such a cultural movement. And I mean, it just dominated the headlines for weeks and months, and it was just everywhere. You know, and it also has the pedigree. I mean, this is a Tony Award winning, I think it's 14-time Tony Award winning musical. So it has the pedigree, it has the cultural relevance, it has the pop culture staying power. And it's just a fantastic property. The music, the action, the story, the romance, the drama, the comedy. I mean, it's firing on all cylinders. So I think it's going to be Hamilton.
Well, I think that's a good transition into something I want to bring up, is that there are a couple of these categories that you can bet on.
Okay.
And one of them is this category, Best Motion Picture for a Musical or Comedy. The odds makers have essentially a 3-way tie here.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's shocking.
Yep. The slightest of the slight favorites, there's like they call it VIG points, just a slight 5 VIG point goes to Hamilton. You have to it's 3-2 odds with Hamilton.
Okay.
Then also at 3-2 is The Prom. And
okay.
I think the reasoning behind that is it supports the LGBT community. There's like the focus on that movie deals with a kid in that has to learn, how to deal with it, and
right.
has to learn how to be comfortable with it and all that stuff. So that does seem like fodder to win awards.
Right.
Then at 2-1, so slightly more, is then Borat 2.
Really? Wow.
So it's got a fighting chance. It's got a puncher's chance.
It just really highlights how weird the past year and change has been.
Yeah.
The fact that we're talking about Borat in the same breath as a pro-LGBTQ movie and a musical about the American Revolution set to hip hop.
Very nice. I like.
I mean, if that doesn't really sum up 2020, I don't know what does. But before we get to the other, were there other odds for?
Those were your 3 top ones, and they're all that's like slivers of difference. Like that's really tight, especially for a category with 5 pictures. That's pretty tight.
Yeah.
After that point, then you're at the long shot, 10-1 Palm Springs, and then 14-1 for music. And I don't know what music is about. I never not heard of that.
So before we get into the other bets, why don't we go down to television and talk about some of the drama and musical comedy series that got nominations. I mentioned The Crown already, the leading drama with the most nominations. Some of the other ones in drama, Lovecraft Country. I started watching it, watched about 4 or 5 episodes. Have to say, it's really entertaining, really interesting. I fell off the bandwagon. I want to get back into it. It's a weird, not weird sci-fi as in it's odd, but like the genre weird sci-fi. It's based on Lovecraftian, science fiction, fantasy. It's very, very interesting. It's like a new, weird, twisted story every week with a, overarching plot. Very entertaining. But another series here that I'm really happy to see nominated, and I know you are as well, The Mandalorian. I got to say, I'm really happy that I continued on with that series. Rich will tell you that I was basically going to write it off. I was like, I'm not even going to bother. And then Rich bugged me week after week. You gotta. And I did. And man, I had such a good time watching the second season. head and shoulders better than the first season. Really happy to see it get a nomination here for Disney Plus and Star Wars.
Me too.
Astute observation. Over on the other side of things, in the musical or comedy category, we have, I think it's a no-brainer here, Schitt's Creek, getting one of the nominations, the most of any comedies with 5 nominations. I think that's deserving. I mean, it won Emmys. It stands to reason it should win some Golden Globes as well, right?
Yep. And also,
what do the odds say?
Yep, I can tag in on that with you because this is another category that you can bet on. The odds makers say that Schitt's Creek is the favorite, overwhelming favorite as well. So you'd have to lay some money to bet on that one. Then it's 2-1 for Ted Lasso, 6-1 for The Great, which I actually watched a couple episodes of that. That was actually pretty funny.
Okay.
It basically, it's how Catherine the Great plots to take over the Russian monarchy. It's really
okay,
but they do it through like dark comedy and stuff. It's pretty good. Then it's The Flight Attendant at 8-1, and then Emily in Paris at 12-1. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, probably. And then finally, just real quick before we end the Golden Globes talk, best miniseries or television film. The one there that I want to call out, obviously, The Queen's Gambit. I loved that miniseries. It kept me and my girlfriend, glued to the screen. I've never seen chess as exciting as in The Queen's Gambit. I believe you got a chance to watch it, right?
Yeah, fantastic. Limited series. I loved every second of it. I actually like chess.
Same.
That was thrilling for nerds like me that they made chess sexy and exciting.
They did though. It was really exciting. I loved every second of it.
Yeah.
Are there any odds on this? Tell me, is the Queen's Gambit doing good?
Yep, Queen's Gambit is the overall favorite.
There you go.
Yeah, you have to lay money on that to bet on that. In second, it's Unorthodox, which is I think the one about
the Hasidic Jews. Yeah,
the Jewish family.
Yeah.
That's at 2-1. Then Small Axe at 6-1, The Undoing at 7-1, and Normal People at 10-1.
Okay. So the lesson here is that Rich and I know how to pick them. Queen's Gambit leading the charge, Schitt's Creek leading the charge, and Hamilton and Borat leading the charge. You stay tuned here, and the best of the best for TV and movies, right, Rich?
Hopefully that's one thing we get right, because right now I am just all over the place when it comes to my sports betting and my predictions in sports. So
yeah, Rich. Yeah, we lost all those Super Bowl bets.
Yeah, not good.
No, not good. But you know what is good? Odd news, Rich.
That's right. We got to get to odd news. We always have to get to some odd news with every episode of the Crispy Noodle Podcast or the Crispy Compact Communiqué. And this one is a true Florida guy through and through. So Mike, if you would do the honors.
Who is this effing guy in Florida? It's Florida and they're crazy. How crazy are they?
Oh yeah, we're going to talk about a crazy guy here, crazy Florida man here.
Okay.
We're going to talk about 22-year-old Matthew Kyle Letham.
Okay, what a name. Letham?
Letham.
Like lesson, but like with a lisp?
Letham. That's
Letham.
His name.
Okay.
Letham. He's 22, and he decided to call police at 4:45 in the morning because he couldn't find a ride home after the bar at 4:45 in the morning. So we got a winner right here.
Oh, yeah.
So man. If I can't Uber or if I can't find a taxi, just call the cops.
Call the cops. Yeah.
Take me straight to jail. At least there's a bed. Just get me there. But that is not the actual oddity of this story.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
this is not the odd part of the story. Because police encountered Matthew Letham on the scene, and that's when they noted that this dude actually has a tattoo of the state of Florida in between his two eyebrows.
Oh my God.
Yes,
Oh my.
and I have his mugshot. So here we go. Hopefully this comes up. There you go.
Oh, I hate this so much.
There you go. There he is, folks. He he is
He's
Mr.
literally Florida man. He's
Yes,
like a superhero Florida man, and that is like his logo.
he
Is
is Mr. Florida Man.
oh
He's
my
got,
God, why?
once again, for our audio listeners, so he has the state of Florida tattooed in between
So
his two eyebrows.
it's literally a black silhouette, like a filled in black silhouette of the state of Florida, like just on his forehead, like a superhero would have, like a like
It's like Vision. It's like
yes,
it's like Vision
yes,
with the stone in his head.
exactly. He is like a weird superhero. He is literally the Florida man,
He
like
is
the Batman.
he is one of the Florida Avengers.
Oh my God, it's oh my God. Who are the Florida Avengers? That's what I want to know. We have Florida Man. That's like, that's like the lead guy. That's like Iron Man and Captain America. You have Florida Man. He's the lead guy. You have just a crocodile.
Just a random croc.
Just a crocodile. Who else do you have?
I have the most random entry.
Okay.
I want the guy who drove around in his BMW convertible with a missile
Yes.
in the passenger seat. We had this story that was like 6 years ago. Just casually cruising around with a
Missile
random
Man.
Yeah, Missile Man. Put him in there because
Missile
that
Man,
story is still one of my favorite stories ever. He was just cruising around with a random Iraqi missile in his passenger seat.
Oh my God. So we could actually do this. Okay, so we have Florida Man, we have Missile Man. I'm going to amend the crocodile to the guy who threw the alligator through the drive-through window.
Yeah. Alligator Man, I don't know.
The gator thrower. I don't know.
Gator guy.
Gator guy. Who else? I'm trying to think of other notable Florida people. I mean, somebody who had sex with something.
Oh yeah, that probably happened at some point.
There's like 27 of them.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like we could fill out an entire superhero team with weird Florida people. And this guy, though, is the leader of the group because he's tattooed Florida on his forehead.
He's really dedicated.
Really dedicated. Like, I know sometimes people get like their little, like their area code, you know what I mean? But that's, you know what? He's stupid. But because he did that to remind himself where he lives, probably.
What state?
Because nobody's that proud of living in Florida that they get it tattooed to their forehead. Again, this isn't like, because I've seen people that have like, like a country or a flag or something tattooed to their upper arm. This is just the outline of the state on his forehead. He's either stupid and has to daily remind himself of where he lives, or he lost a bet and he, oh man, just has the worst friends who made him get that tattooed on his forehead. Is there any more details about this? I'm loving this.
Or he's the true Florida Avenger.
He's the true Florida Avenger. That's right. You have Captain America, you have Captain Florida. Oh, yep. Captain Florida. Why didn't I think of that earlier?
There you go, Captain Florida. He's got it right in between the eyebrows too. Like, you cannot hide that. Not even a hat can hide that because it's right in between the eyebrows.
Yeah. You know what? If you're going to be a criminal, don't have any super identifying marks like that.
Yeah, that too.
You know what I mean? Okay, please continue with the story. Sorry, I got sidetracked.
Okay, so obviously this set the cops off. They had to ask him multiple questions about the tattoo. While they were asking him questions about the tattoo, they also decided to do a quick search of his persons, and that's when they also found some pot on him as well.
Of course.
So he was arrested for a misdemeanor marijuana possession charge and misuse of the 911 system. He was released the night after his own reconnaissance. So yeah, he literally went to jail so he could sleep, and then was released the following night. So
I mean, it's the most harmless Florida story we've ever had.
Yeah, except for the fact that dude has a tattoo
Is stupid.
that will last the rest of his life that he cannot hide.
You cannot undo that. Every job interview he goes to, the very first thing they're going to see and question is the Florida tattoo. Yeah.
It's literally like, can I touch it? Like, it's right there.
You know the scene in Austin Powers Goldmember? The guy who has the mole?
Yeah.
Moly, 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 moly. Yeah. It is that, except with Florida on his forehead.
Yeah.
Florida on his forehead.
This dude tattooed the state of Florida on the forehead leading down to the middle of his eyebrows. You can't even hide that with a hat.
Nope.
What are you thinking?
It's like every audio listeners, like picture where your eyebrows are and then like down like where the bridge of your nose starts. It's like in that area.
Yeah, you cannot hide it with a hat.
Yeah.
So there you go, Mr.
Florida.
I gotta get. You know what? You're right. You gotta give him credit. He is the true Florida man. He tattooed Florida on his damn head.
Is anybody more proud of their home state than that guy?
Can't say it. I can't say. Nope. I can't think of anybody else.
No, nope. I love Pennsylvania, but not that much.
No, I do not want. Pennsylvania is a big state too. I do not want that on my forehead.
It's very square or rectangular. It would, yeah. What's the weirdest state to get tattooed to a forehead? I think. What do you think would be the weirdest one? I mean, I think Florida, because the way it's shaped.
Florida's pretty weird. California would be weird because it's
very long,
and then it juts out.
No, Michigan.
Ooh, yeah. Because they got all those like Great Lakes and stuff.
Yeah, and it's split in half.
Ugh, yeah, that would not be good.
That'd be a weird one.
Yeah.
Alaska. Oh, Oklahoma. I was gonna say Alaska.
Oklahoma, you have to get the box, and then you have to get that little dinky panhandle that goes the other half of your head.
You're literally making yourself a unibrow, and then like it has like a little hat on it.
Yeah. Ew.
What about Alaska? You have that whole chain of islands coming off the side. It's gonna like go around the side of your head almost. Yeah. This is the dumbest conversation we've ever had in 8 years of podcast. I think it's safe to say that talking about the weirdest state to tattoo to your forehead, probably the dumbest thing we've ever talked about.
It's 2021, man.
And we were like actually analyzing. You're like, oh yeah, and the islands, and we're like, yeah, that makes sense. There's something fundamentally broken with us, Rich, in 2021.
It's 2021. Nothing makes sense anymore. It's the pandemic. Simple.
The pandemic's gone on too long, Rich. We've hit a breaking point.
Yeah. All right.
Next week we're both going to show up with states tattooed to our foreheads.
Dear God.
Oh.
So yeah, that's the odd news for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed that riveting conversation. Before we end this episode, we do have to go over recommendations that we want you to keep an eye out for this upcoming weekend in apocalypse activities. Other than getting a random state tattoo to your forehead, Mike, what do you have in mind for people to do this weekend?
Oh man, probably what I'm gonna try to do a little bit of. I want to play more of Death Stranding at some point. Mm-hmm. So you know what, it took me a while to get around to it. But it's super cheap. Like you can find a used copy at GameStop for like $17. And I think for that price point, I mean, even if you don't enjoy it, it's still just the weirdness of the first hour alone makes me feel like it was $17 well spent. Like, if nothing else, I'll get a couple of hours of weirdness out of it, and then I'll move on to something different. But yeah, I'm excited to dive back into it and to check it out a little bit more. So if you haven't, check it out with me. That's what I'm going to be doing at some point soon, hopefully.
Yeah, it's a solid game, Mike. I can't wait for you to delve more into the world.
Yeah. What about you? What are you going to be doing?
It's Valentine's Day weekend.
Yep.
So make sure you're doing something nice for the love of your life. And if you're single, I don't know,
Do something nice for yourself.
Yeah, or play video games. I don't know.
Or play video games. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I think that's what I did when I was single. So
I still do that when I'm not. So nothing's changed. I'm very lucky that my girlfriend likes to watch me play video games and also join in. You give her the controller for Planet Coaster and forget about it. That's her system. We're making lasagna.
Oh,
yeah, that'll be fun.
Good.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah. Instead of spending money on a meal out, we're gonna make some homemade pasta and make some lasagna. I should have said that as an apocalypse activity. What's wrong with me? I'm so distracted by Florida tattoos.
Yeah, it's just, the tattoo on the forehead has gotten you off.
I'm still thinking about it. I'm still so upset about it. Anyway.
All right. Well, there you go. We need to start wrapping this up. This has been the Crispy Compact Communiqué, the crazy 2021 version of the Crispy Noodle podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you like what you heard, make sure you go to our website, thecrispynoodle.com. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the whole shebang-a-bang, and let us know how you're doing.
That's right. In addition to the whole shebang-a-bang, you can also get the video version of this podcast on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe to our channel there. But you can also still get the audio version of the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Amazon devices. So make sure you're searching for, downloading, and subscribing to the Crispy Noodle podcast on YouTube or the podcast service of your choice.
That's right. We also have a SoundCloud page where we have the mini noodles, the promos of our show. Go check that out and get yourself a quick laugh.
That's right. So many places to share and get in touch with the Crispy Noodle podcast. But if you want to get in touch with us individually and send your sports, entertainment, or odd news stories to us, you can find us on Twitter. I'm at Mikey Costanzo, MikeyCostanzo.
And I am at Rich Liebig, RichLiebig. Find us on the Twitters and let us know what is happening in your world. But for right now, we got to start wrapping this up. This has been the Crispy Noodle podcast. Let us be the Crispy Noodle in your vegetarian salad of life and boring news. Anything else, Mike?
No, that's it. Everybody have a happy Valentine's Day.
That's right. Happy Valentine's Day. And we'll see you guys next week.
See you guys
later. Bye-bye, all you fine peoples.